Good morning and welcome back, ladies, gents, and Pikachus, to another analysis and breakdown of the Quran of the Muslims. Yes, we're back once again, breaking this thing down verse by verse into factual, logical statements in English so that you and I can understand who or what is Allah, what does he mean by the contents of his book here, and more importantly for us as non-believers, how does this affect us in our lives today? So, before I start, as I always do, I'm going to tell you now, if you have any doubts or questions as to my factual accuracy, please first buy, translate and read an Arabic-only Quran, which is the only one which Allah actually wrote himself. All the other ones are the work of Satan, according to Allah, if they're written in not Arabic. So this is the one to fact-check me by, and I hope that you do, because once you've done that, you'll recognise everything I'm about to tell you now or have previously said here is 100% true and accurate of the words of Allah himself and what Muslims actually believe today. This is Islam, not what they say, because they're going to use taqiyya, lies, manipulation and trickery against the infidel, which is you and I, to try and mislead us. But we know from Allah himself in this book that this is what Islam actually is. So, let's get started. If you've been watching the series and you watched the last few, you'll remember we're going through the book AL-NIISA, which is the book of women and children, and we're knee-deep in the dirty, muddy mists of the indoctrination of children. This is how they brainwash the children to turn from lovely, innocent, playful things, which children naturally are, into horrible, murderous jihadis who are racist and evil. This is how it's done. So with that in mind, let's carry on. We got to verse 91. 91. You will find others who desire safety from you, but also from their own, and they will turn back to unbelief in what the sedition they have turned to, and they will be overthrown. If they do not submit to you and offer you peace, you must catch them and kill them all. Allah gives you authority over them to accomplish his causes. End of verse. So I feel like this could have been written far simpler in less words, or fewer words, but we know Allah likes to extol his own words because he loves the sound of his own voice. So, let's break it down. You will find others who desire safety from you, but also from their own. So what he's talking about there is the people you previously threatened with death in the last episode, because this is the mother teaching the children how to be a jihadi. And in the last episode, what we were told, or what the children are being told, is wherever you find the non-believers, you have to bully them and trick them. You do whatever you need to do to get them to surrender to Islam. And if they do that, then you don't kill them. But if they refuse to, off with their head, they're dead. You kill them dead. And that's a child being told that by their mother. And also what you're told is if the mother doesn't tell you this exact thing out of the Quran of the Muslims, then the mother's wrong. Because Allah is your only guide and helper. That's what we're telling the children in the Muslim household. So that's why it's kind of eye-rollingly bad to know that in 91 he's saying, you will find others who desire safety like you do, child, from you, because you're going to be going out trying to kill them and make them surrender forcibly to Islam, but also their own when they have turned to Islam at the end of your sword, and then their own people are not friendly towards them anymore. So they'll turn back to their own people as soon as you remove the sword from their neck. And if they do that, and they turn back to disbelief, unbelief, kafirism, not Islam, then this is sedition. Sedition means having a conspiracy against your authoritative government or your family or someone who is trusting of you. Sedition is slyly getting between that authority and trying to overthrow it yourself. So what the children are being told here is you force people to be Islamic with a threat of death at the end of a sword. If they come along, fine. If they don't, kill them. If they come along and then later change their mind so they can escape, that's even worse. That's sedition. So you kill them double. And they will have no safety. And then it goes into even more detail and says, if they do not submit to you and Islam and offer you peace, as in if they're not subservient to you, child, and I quote, you must catch them and kill them all. So this isn't in the Satan Allah book, the one that Allah says Satan wrote, which effectively says a very similar message, but it pretties it up somewhat. That one is not going to say kill the unbelievers, because it removes all trace of kill the non-believers and just says, tell them off. But we know from Allah's own word, this is not the word of Allah. This was not written by Allah. This was written by men who are trying to praise up their religion and cover the sins of their brothers. And in this one, Allah's actual word, it says, don't listen to that one or you'll be an infidel. Follow this one. So we know this being taught to Muslim children in Muslim households and in the mosque, which is where they do most of their Islamic teachings. This is what they're going to be telling them. Not just tell them off, not just make them feel bad. Catch them and kill them all. That's what it says here. I'll repeat. If they do not submit to you and Islam and offer you peace, you must catch them and kill them all. End of quote. Allah gives you authority over them to accomplish his causes. And we know from previous readings of the book, of the Quran of the Muslims, his causes are the Holy Jihad, killing everyone to achieve the end times genocidal prophecy, and spreading the worship of only Allah, and wiping all the other religions out, including their nations, their governments, and their cultures. That's what this means. 92. Not other Muslims, though, only the non-believers. Accidentally killing a believer when giving of freedom to them is permitted, but a blood money teeth must be offered to their father. End of verse. Now, if we break it down, why would he have to specify in a separate verse, but don't kill other Muslims, only the non-believers? Why would he say that? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because he has this stealth positioning of the jihad going on, which we know about from our reading of Allah's guarded secret, which is the 3 stages of jihad. Positioning, stealth jihad, and full jihad. And we're currently in positioning, where Muslims are being dispersed and spread far and wide into all the enemy countries, which is all the non-Islamic countries. And they are mingling in those societies, so they could either be full Muslims, they can be moderate Muslims, which is like cowardly Muslims in the words of Allah, who don't do the full thing. You know, they claim they're Muslims, but they're nice and friendly to Westerners, they don't kill us on sight. Or they might be claiming that they're Christians, or they're atheists, or they're something else. So they're hiding. Don't kill those ones, because they're actually Muslims, is what we're telling the children. Don't kill other Muslims, even if they're saying that they're atheists or Christians. If you spot them, and they give you that little hoodwink, and you know that's actually a Muslim in a jihad, tricking and lying the Westerners with the taqiyya, then you must not kill them. But the plot thickens. He says, accidentally killing a believer when giving of a freedom to them is permitted. So what that means is, if a believer is pretending to be an atheist and starts to enjoy his freedom, and then doesn't want to come back to Islam, killing that guy is okay. And the reason it's okay is because you're giving him his freedom back. You know, he's enslaved by the freedom that he's found in the Western culture, or the atheism, or whatever he's doing. That's a slavery, because he's not worshipping Allah and doing exactly what Allah says. So accidentally killing him is okay. I.e., if you blow up a Westerner who is next to him, and he's caught in the blast and dies, it was an accident, and that's okay. But the only thing you need to do to make it okay is, and I quote, a blood money teeth. Now, what is blood money? Blood money is what you pay to someone who you have killed a family member of in cold blood. When you murder someone's family members and they want revenge against you, you pay them a blood money teeth so that they don't want revenge on you anymore. So Allah is very confusingly conflating blood money teeth paid to someone who you have murdered a family member of, murdered therefore, which is a sin, with giving of freedom by accidentally killing a Muslim. So we know, in accordance with jihad, when they cover their faces and they pretend to be atheists and they use taqiyya to trick us so we don't know which one's which, who's a Muslim and who's not, even they are confused about this. So what it means is, if someone's face is covered and you kill them, you can claim it's an accident as long as you pay the family, and then it's fine. You don't have to be Allah's not going to be angry with you. It's not considered a sin. And the reason is because you gave him freedom. So now we know Allah's freedom is also the same as Allah's mercy. Allah's mercy and freedom mean killing someone who isn't subserviently surrendering to Allah. That's what this means. And then he finishes off by saying it's permitted if you pay the blood money teeth, but it must be offered to the father. So what that means is the father is going to be compelled not to take your money. or if he takes it to give it to the mosque. So we know Allah's worship will be conserved. You'll be worshipping, even though you just killed this guy's family member, his son or his brother or whatever. He's not allowed to take revenge on you because it was an accident. I only did it because I was doing the jihad. I didn't mean to kill your son. Here's some money. But you have to try and give it to the mosque so that the jihad can have money so that more death can happen. That's what this means directly. And remember, this is teaching children. This is what children in school in Islamic countries are being taught today. And we move on. If the Muslim you killed and gave freedom was amongst an enemy nation, take his wealth back to his true family, and you free your necks of his death by your obedience to Allah. If you cannot, then you must observe fasting for 2 months, for Allah knows and is wise to it. End of verse. So why is he saying this as well? This is like not even a new verse. This is a separate bit added on to the verse 92. Well, it's interesting if we break it down. So obviously Allah doesn't preordain everything. Like he keeps telling us, he's written every man's path. Everything happens by his will. Nothing happens outside of what he wants. Apart from here, if you do it or if you don't do it. So unless Allah's will is everything that could ever happen all the time forever and it isn't defined, i.e. a oneness, like Satan for instance, then if would be his preordained future where it's all branching paths and he preordains all of it, a oneness like Satan. So that's what I think's happening here. If the Muslim you killed and gave freedom to by killing him was amongst an enemy nation, as in how we were talking about, he was hiding in a Western nation to do the stealth jihad, he was positioning, pretending to be a Christian or an atheist, you accidentally killed him because you blew up a Westerner and next door to the Westerner was this guy, take his wealth back to his true family. Now that means not in the enemy country. His true family are Muslims back in the Islamic country. So what this is saying is after you accidentally kill this guy, even though he's a Muslim, he's not going to be counted as a Muslim for your side, even though he will be counted as a Muslim to Allah. It's as if you killed an infidel. So you just pick up all his belongings and his money, like you would if you just chopped off the head of an infidel, and you bring it back to the mosque in Mecca, and you give it to the family who will be compelled not to accept it and to give it to the mosque. But if you cannot, then you must observe 2 months fasting. So if you can't afford to give the money away from the guy that you just killed, who is actually a Muslim, but you didn't know this, you can rob the Muslim's body and keep it, and all you've got to do is observe fasting for 2 months. And Allah knows and is wise to it. So don't think that you can keep that money and then not do 2 months fasting, O Muslim child, because I'm watching you. Allah's always watching. He knows everything that you do, O Muslim child. So I think in summary of 91 and 92, we can pretty much tell here. Allah's main concern is killing the infidel. Even if it means killing some Muslims, despite the fact that he says you will not kill other Muslims, that's the first fifth. The other 4/5 are, but if you do kill them, here's a way you can get away with it. If it's accidental, you can get away with it. If you take the money but you don't give it to the mosque, you keep it, then you do fasting, you can get away with it. As long as you offer something to the Father, you can get away with it. So 4/5 of these 2 passages are, you can get away with it if. And I refer you back to his, I preordained every man's life. If, ruins that, Allah. Allah, mate. Come over here. Stop bathing in bacon grease, you sinful, disgusting creature. I will not have that. Not in my house. Which is what we're in now, not your house. No more bacon grease. I'm just admonishing him for being a disgusting pig. Bathing in his own grease. Oh, you thought I meant he added grease to the bath? No, he was the grease added to the bath. So anyway, what I wanted to ask you, Allah, is since you preordained everything, you'll already know how to answer this. Why have you written, you will find others who desire safety from you but also from their own, and they will turn back to unbelief? Didn't you say earlier, once someone has ratified your teachings, they will never turn back to disbelief? That's a mistake. So you do make mistakes. Then you say, don't kill other Muslims. You have to accomplish the cause of the jihad with the other Muslims. But then you spend the rest of the next passage saying, only the non-believers. But if you accidentally kill a believer, then it's okay. If you accidentally kill them, you can say you're giving them freedom, then it's okay. You say it's permitted if a blood money teeth is paid to the father. And actually, you can steal the stuff off the dead body. Now, Do you see the problem here, Allah? You have directly commanded that none of this stuff happen in the past. So, what am I supposed to think if I'm observing your great wisdom and knowledge of the Quran of the Muslims? If I'm following the previous passages, how can I also follow this, which is the opposite? I'll wait. Nope, he doesn't seem to have an answer for it. It's your verisimilitude, is it? Okay. So, verisimilitude means confusing language, which is akin to what we say is mystification. You know, using fancy words and terms and logic and poetry to divert from the question and answer something else because you didn't have the answer to the original one. So that is what Allah is using in order to make his child Muslims believe that their entire life is about the jihad, killing the infidel, even if it means killing your own brothers, despite the fact that he said don't do it. And so we can tell from these verses, A, Allah commands two opposite things once again and expects you to believe both and deny both when questioned and criticised by the infidels. He doesn't care about the lives of his own Muslims. He's throwing his Muslims like, mud slinging at a wall in order to kill the infidel, even if it means other Muslims get killed. And he's even saying, if you have no money, rob the dead body of the Muslim you just killed. It's fine as long as you do some fasting. And then, since you'll be doing the fasting on your own in a foreign nation, there won't be anyone there to spy you to make sure you did it properly. Allah finishes off the verse by saying, I'm watching you. I will know all you do. And so from this we can tell, Allah doesn't have a clue what's happening. He doesn't preordain everything. He doesn't know what you're doing. He can't read your mind and he hasn't preordained your path. But one thing is for sure. He wants you to kill the infidels. That is goal number one. His cause is his holy jihad, servicing of the end times genocidal prophecy so the paradise garden can be created. In the words of Allah, which is underneath the ground. Not the one up there, which you think you're going to, Muslims. That's already created. Allah's paradise, which he's going to create, is deep below the earth. Funny that's where Satan lives. Isn't that a thing? Anyway, so we carry on. 93. And if you kill other Muslims in other ways, hell shall be your reward, O Muslim. Allah in his wrath will prepare a great torment for you. End of verse. So he's issuing a correction if we break this down. This is another one of Allah's sly mistakes where he's going to shove another verse on top of the previous one because he's now written it and then realised, oh, hang on a minute. This doesn't make any sense. So he's issuing a correction, but he's going to present it as if he's just shoring up the things he's previously said, not cancelling them out. It's not like he's telling you 5 different things for the same action, and you have to follow all of them. So let's break it down. If you kill other Muslims in other ways, if it wasn't accidentally blowing up a Westerner and accidentally killing a Muslim, hell shall be your reward, O Muslim. Allah in his wrath will prepare a great torment for you. So, what Allah is saying here is the torment's not prepared for you yet, but if you kill Muslims in other ways, i.e. if you kill another Muslim and you don't claim that you accidentally did it while you were trying to kill an infidel, then he's going to scheme and prepare your great torment and give you a slice of his hell. But if it was an accident, then the other verse is valid. So he's making sure you can kill other Muslims. Even though the first thing he said is don't kill other Muslims or you'll go to hell. Now he's saying if you kill other Muslims, you have to claim it was an accident and pay the family. Then you won't go to hell. But if you don't do that, you'll go to hell. If. Not preordained. And anyway, we move on to the last verse of our reading, number 94. O ye believer, go forth! Go forth in the sake of Allah's causes. Seek them out, but offer peace to those Muslims who you find. Never say to them, you are not a believer, because they are now only as you were before these teachings. Allah has an abundance of spoils for you both, and Allah is graceful towards you. So know, Allah is aware of this all. End of verse, end of reading. Well, isn't that a thing? So if we break this down, O ye believer is how he starts, and we know when he says O ye believer, he's trying to make you forget the previous thing, the verisimilitude, the confusing stuff that doesn't make any sense, that actually goes against his teachings, because he's now giving you 2 opposite things. O ye believer, forget that. Go forth. So forget the thing about, don't worry about killing Muslims, you can kill them if it's an accident. Go and kill the non-believers. That's the main thing. Now we've picked hairs about if you accidentally kill some believers along with your blowing up of infidels. Don't worry about it. It's an accident. As long as you pay, it's fine. As long as it's an accident, it's fine. Now go! Go and kill the non-believers. That's what he's saying. Go forth for the sake of Allah's causes, the holy jihad in service of the end times genocidal prophecy, the war against the world. Go forth into Allah's causes, seek them out, but offer peace to those Muslims you find. So what that means is, while you're in the rest of the world, secretly undercover as a jihadi in the positioning, if you notice another Muslim who is hiding, and they're doing their positioning, and you become aware, oh, this guy's a Muslim, even though he's claiming to be like a friendly Western guy, he's a jihadi like me, he's going to spring the trap pretty soon. Offer him peace, let him know that you're also a jihadi, but do it in secret. And never say you're not a believer. So what he's saying there is, even though this guy is claiming he's a Christian or an atheist, don't let on. Don't openly say, you're not a believer, you're a Muslim. What are you talking about? You're a Christian. You're not a Christian believer, you're a Muslim. That's what he's saying here by don't tell them you're not a believer. Accept that that guy's a Muslim, because he starts off by saying, where you find those other Muslims, so we know this guy's a Muslim because you found him out to be another Muslim, despite he's claiming not to be. Don't tell everyone else that he's a Muslim by saying you're not a believer in atheism, you're not a believer in Christianity, you're not a believer in whatever you're claiming to be, because he's using taqiyya, and you're not allowed to bust him. So that means, oh Muslim child, when you're old enough to go abroad and contribute to the jihad, which is your life goal, don't bust other Muslims. Work with them in secret, like an assassin. You know, the Assassins are the group that started this, the Muslim Assassins. Be one of those. Don't bust your other Muslims. Work for Allah's cause of the holy jihad in service of the end times genocidal prophecy, which means killing all the non-believers and their families, taking over their countries, preaching Islam as the only faith and making sure nobody else has any space or time, and rejoining East and West, the bounty of Allah, only for his Muslims. That's what this means. And then he finishes off by saying, you are not a believer because they are now, only as you were before these teachings. So he's saying, if this guy is claiming to be a Christian so he can hide, the only reason he's doing that and not openly saying he wants to kill the infidels is because he isn't aware of Allah's true teachings, like I'm telling you now, child. So even though he actually knows more and he's way more advanced than you, child, we're not going to tell you that. We're going to bolster your arrogance by telling you, because of this teaching here, you're above that guy. You know more about the jihad than he does. And the reason we are saying this to you, oh child, is so you take heart and you feel brave and confident, so that when you go out into the world, you can do the jihad fully. It's disgusting how they brainwash their children, but that's what this is. And then he finishes off the verse by saying, Allah has an abundance of spoils for you both. So it's not a competition anymore, even though it was to begin with. Now, he can do his bit for the jihad by claiming he's a Christian and secretly working against Christianity. And you can do your bit for the jihad by openly being a jihadi, but letting him do that and making sure you know he's a Muslim. So when you're blowing up other people, try not to blow that guy up unless it's an accident. And then you will both get the spoils. Now, what are spoils in terms of a jihad, in terms of a war, which is what a jihad is? Spoils means the stuff that's freshly been laid out that has been collected after you invaded somewhere, which is going to go bad. That's why it's called spoils. It's like if you don't take it now, it will spoil. So spoils means slaves, human slaves that you've recovered from the enemy nations you're invading, food and water, which you've recovered, which you're going to keep, and money that's lying out, which nobody now owns because you have murdered all the owners. The spoils of war. So what we're telling you, O Muslim child, Allah has an abundance of spoils for you both, the guy pretending to be a Christian and you in your cause of the holy jihad. And Allah is graceful towards you, i.e. Allah's given it to you. All you've got to do is get rid of those pesky Jews and Christians whose pockets are lined with it. Because remember, they stole it off Allah. And they insulted your prophet. Go and kill them for the holy jihad and you can take their money. That's what this means. And then the last word is so know. Allah is aware. So it's like, don't let on. Allah's aware. You be aware. He's aware. Everyone's aware apart from the infidels who we are going to murder. And that's the end of our reading and the end of this video. So in summary, we know the jihad is only able to be completed with the help of the Muslim children, brainwashed by the mother, who is controlled with violence by the father, who is controlled by economics by the imams at the mosque, who is controlled by Allah. who is controlled by this. The Quran of the Muslims, the most evil book ever written. And that's the end of this video. So I hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now. Christians, let's all pray tonight for Muslim children. Let's pray for Muslim children's eyes to be opened so that they don't get sent to their deaths. While our children are being read bedtime stories and getting the love of their parents, these poor guys are getting taught jihad. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.